What's up, guys? How is it going? I will assume I'm live again. Welcome back to another live stream. Oh my gosh. Yes, we are streaming a lot these days, but part of the reason is because I want to get back into the YouTube game, and also because with things like reactions and stuff like this, it's actually easier to just stream it rather than to record my face and then go and take the video and then edit it and then upload. Like it's a lot easier to just stream it. And while I stream it, of course, I get the added bonus of being able to talk to you guys while I react. So I think that this is quite a smart move, right? Is to actually react to the videos with you. Once again, with these streams, tell me if there's any issues with the audio or with the video or anything like that. And yeah, we're gonna get started. That Spirit, Halloween, and FNAF fan, welcome. Isaac Newbie, Cross Corp, welcome back. I think we should be good. I just had like a weird warning thing on OBS, but hopefully this one is smoother than the stream that we had before, because we had a few issues with the stream this morning. But we should be good. I think we should be good. What's going on, guys? Enos, sorry if I butcher these names. I'm not very good at saying people's names. Glitch Guy, Ben Rowe. I don't want to say your name because I'm scared I'm going to mess it up. But Minha. Candlecorn, Fortnite, no. FNAF. Okay. So here's what we're doing today. We are going to be reacting to the latest game theory. V is fine. Oh, okay. I will call you V. We're going to be reacting to the latest game theory, which came out today, which is why I've chosen to just kind of out of nowhere, out of the blue, just kind of stream this today. Because I didn't know this was coming out. But it is a theory on Into the Pit, right? I'm going to change to this so that you can see. This is a theory on Into the Pit, which I'm quite excited for because I haven't actually done that much Into the Pit theorizing. I see the first frame here. It's a Freddy head. And I know what that means. I know that there's a Freddy mask in Into the Pit, and I'm quite intrigued to see where this is going to go. I have thought a little bit about this Freddy head. Of course, we now have a Foxy bully, which is Michael. We have a Bonnie bully, which is Jeremy from Help Wanted 2, Cassie's dad. And now we have a Freddy bully, maybe, which is Oswald's dad. Kind of makes me wonder what the Chica, where the Chica bully came from. I'm thinking maybe that could be something to do with the Secret of the Mimic, seeing as it's quite early on in the timeline. Maybe we'll see Chica's party world or something, and there'll be a Chica mask there. But I think it's interesting that we're seeing a lot of different masks of these original animatronics. And so, but yeah, yes, what are your thoughts on this theory before I go into this? No spoilers, obviously. I watched this theory and it's interesting. There's this theory going around since Into the Pit game came out. It's called New Stitch Line or Stitch Line Reboot. Oh, interesting. Okay. Is there anything different about that since like the old Stitch Line theories? Or I guess it's oh, okay. So Stitch Line Reboot, I guess, would be you know, we've now finally got one of the books in the games. So this is almost like a retelling, like Into the Pit in the game's universe. So maybe the book versions aren't canon, but the game versions are. But that's something to think about because obviously there are loads of like cameos in Into the Pit for other stories. So it's a sort of like it's a thing of like where do you draw the line with canonicity and stuff like that. I've seen it and I'm alright about it. Okay, good to hear. This theory seems plausible, but there's one thing about it I'm not sure about, which I won't spoil. You know what? I think we should get into it, and we can see. We can talk about it as time goes on. Obviously, I'm going to be pausing quite a bit and discussing. This is more of a discussion stream than a sit back and watch kind of stream. And the reason for that is because we want to discuss our thoughts on this. So if you want to go watch the video yourself, then you can easily do that. There is a link in the description to the original video. Thank you to Tom and everyone from the Game Theorists for providing this video. This is going to be very interesting. I always loved the FNAF game theories. They are what got me into FNAF in the first place. So I'm really excited for this. I think we should just get straight into it. Once again, tell me if the audio is too loud or too quiet, or if there's anything wrong with it. Okay. Let's go.
This mask from Into the Pits. As you explore the house of our main character Oswald, this item can fall from the attic. But when during the game this happens is completely random. What's even stranger is that it's the only piece of Fazbear merchandise in the entire house. The game would have you believe that it's just a tradable item, and while yes, you can use it for that purpose, there are plenty of other items that show up way more reliably that can also be used for the game's one and only trade, making a luck-based item like this feel totally unnecessary, unless it's not really here to be a game mechanic. It's here to tell us something important, and I think I know what it is.
Okay, well, to be honest, he makes a really good point, right? Freddy mask, I didn't realize it was luck based. I didn't realize it was RNG basically, whether you get the mask or not. I didn't realize it could happen on any night. That's interesting. I didn't know that. But yes, that's a very good point. The fact that you can get a Freddy mask and it seems to be there. I mean, it says it's like a tradable item, and yes, you can trade it when you get around to needing to trade something with the person for, what was it? The fire. I can't remember what we trade it for, but it's very interesting that this does exist, because it seems pretty irrelevant. And the one thing he said there as well is it's the only FNAF thing in the house. I think I refer back to the Into the Pit story from the books, right? Firecracker, that's it. Thank you, Smiley. I refer back to the story Into the Pit from the books. And there is a theory going around, and I think it's a really, really, really good theory, that what Oswald sees in 1985 are his father's memories. Because we know that his father knows about Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. He talks about Freddy Fazbear's Pizza to Oswald. And as well as that, he knows that something went wrong at Freddy's. And he's sort of like scared for him to find out about it or whatever. Either way, it seems like Oswald's father has a connection to Freddy's in a way. And so that's why we sort of think that maybe we're seeing his memories from when the missing children's incident happened, right? So it's almost like this is being reborn, I think, because who does the Freddy mask belong to? It just has to belong to the father. Oswald doesn't know Freddy's exist, even though he's drawing the images. He's drawing the pictures of Freddy, Bonnie, Chica. He doesn't know that Freddy's actually exists. But Oswald's father is the one character we do know knows that Freddy exists. So I think that's quite interesting. He would also be old enough, obviously. It would be 30, 40 years ago. So that's interesting. Only FNAF thing in the house, excluding Oswald's drawings. Yes, but we know that Oswald isn't doing those on purpose. It's almost like it's going into his mind. Like his mind is just coming up with these sorts of characters. It's not like a purposeful thing. There's a bunch of FNAF 4 toys, but I think it's just a reference. Yeah, again, like there's a lot of references Into the Pit itself, and it's the sort of thing where like you have to kind of make the you have to claim what is and isn't just like a reference, and what is an actual lore object, if you know what I mean. Like the Freddy mask is quite different because it's luck based, and it just seems to be really out of place. You can pick it up and stuff like that. So it seems to be like an item of significance in some way, but it feels like it has more significance than just being in your inventory and just being a tradable item. It seems like something more than that. Whereas there's things around Oswald's room like the FNAF 4 telephone and robot and stuff like that, which is like cool, it's there, but I don't think that necessarily means Oswald is the crying child. You know what I mean? So it's that sort of thing which is it's quite hard to draw the line on what's canon and what's completely not canon. But I don't know. It's hard. What about GGY? Good point. Very good point. Because and to be honest, I don't actually know. That's a good point. I wonder if Tom's going to bring it up at all. But GGY is very clearly brought up as being the #1 score. I'm thinking maybe that's just a reference, because unless Gregory is a time traveler, or well, that would have to be it, isn't it? Gregory would have to be a time traveler in some way. It's a strange one. Or it could be like the whole thing of like there's distorted memories. Let's not forget as well what actually is the ball pit. If you read through Fazbear Frights fully, like you don't just read Into the Pit, you read Into the Pit with the context of the stick tray stingers, you realize that the pit actually holds more significance than just being a time traveling ball pit, right? It seems to hold, it has blood of some victims for like the past 30 years or something. And it seems to, I think it's something like each ball represents or holds like the memory of a child who never had the happiest day or whatever. And then by the end of the Fazbear Frights, Jake is able to give all of these kids who have suffered from the Fazbear Frights, he's able to give them all their happiest days. So it's like there's something actually bigger with the ball pit. And so where was I going with this? Oh, yeah, okay. And so that might also be why, in a way, why there might be Fazbear Frights Easter eggs, because it's almost like the memories are leaking into each other and there's this whole memory distortion thing happening. Just remember, like, we're not actually time traveling here. It's Oswald's perception that has been distorted from the ball pit. So that's something key to remember as well. GGY is 100% a reference or a coincidence with some random kid's name. I think yes. I don't think it's a coincidence because Scott put it there on purpose. But definitely just a reference. I think it would be weird if it was like a big lore point. But there's the thing of like, it's FNAF. There's so much content in these games and books that you can say any theory and you can find a way to make it true or whatever. Joshua Noises, thank you so much for becoming a member. I don't know if you're here, but I think you probably were watching my Gravity Falls reaction, so there you go. I think it's like a loop of the worst memory of Fazbear Pizza. When Oswald gets in the cycle, he breaks it. The failed happiest day on that game implies that not only because of Molten MCI the bad ending is canon, but because they forgot the 6th victim, the one you should not have killed. I agree. And you're talking about the party hat game, right? Where there's 5 party hats. But then if you go off screen, there's a 6th party hat. And it's one that William Afton is dangling. And there's also like broken tables and stuff like that. And it seems to be a perfect copy of Happiest Day almost. So it's almost like the 5 kids had their happiest days, but there's one that's still here, the one you should not have killed. So that's what I've theorized about. I think I said that in my Midnight Motorist video quite briefly. I'm not really sure how to feel about my Midnight Motorist video at this point, but you know, I think I still had a few good points about like the 6th victim and stuff like that. Gregory is technically able to travel back in time as a Q2H. Oh, because of a glitch. Yes. I mean, true. Okay, I'm going to continue with this video, otherwise we're not going to get through it. But I think yes, I think Tom has a really good point. Just to summarize, I think it's a really good point that there's a Friday mask. It seems to have significance. It's the only FNAF thing related in the house other than Oswald's drawings and stuff, and there's probably a bigger reason for that being in the game. Let's continue.
Hello,
cool.
Internet! Welcome to Game Theory, the show that, yes, is finally talking about the biggest and only FNAF game of 2024, Into the Pit. A game based on the first Fazbear Fright story released as part of the big finale of FNAF's 10th anniversary. Or at least it was supposed to be. It ended up coming out a day early, and so instead,
Typical
we got
FNAF.
movie script pages on the final day. We
Yeah.
should probably look into that. Regardless, it came out and people loved it.
That's what I thought, Isaac. Only FNAF game? Poor 5 Laps at Freddy's. I was thinking about that. Like, he said, only FNAF game of the year. And my mind was like, surely we've had another FNAF game this year. But no, we actually kind of haven't. We had Help Wanted 2 in December of 2023, I think it was. And then that's the most recent one, right? Other than 5 Laps at Freddy's and Click Team Fusion and whatever. Click Team Fusion? Funko Fusion. But Into the Pit, amazing. You could also technically count the interactive novels as games, but yeah.
This thing. Like the original story, we follow a 10-year-old boy called Oswald who finds a time-traveling ball pit inside his local pizzeria, Jeff's Pizza. The ball pit takes him back to 1985, where he finds out that Jeff's used to be a Freddy Fazbear's. This thing's got all the stuff you'd expect. Arcade machines, pizza, and a bunch of dead kids, along with the yellow rabbit mascot that's responsible. Yeah, this place is the real deal. The yellow rabbit tries to catch Oswald, but he escapes, only for the yellow creature to jump out and drag his dad back into the pit instead. The rabbit then re-emerges from the pit, only now he's posing as Oswald's father. And I don't just mean he's acting like his dad. I mean he physically takes on his appearance, at least to everyone else. Nobody seems to be able to see the yellow rabbit except for Oswald. And so it's up to him to find a way to sneak past the rabbit, get out of the house, and back to Jeff's to find his...
So what I find interesting, and I haven't talked about this at all on the channel, I really want to do a video on it sometime. Maybe even like a short, a YouTube short. Is we do see an ending where Gregory does actually get possessed by whatever this like Spring Bonnie or whatever. Because he has the same glowing eyes, and you find that over time, as he's walking from one end of a room to another, he's losing his sense of self. He starts out with the name Oswald, and then it becomes like Oz, and then O, and then like question mark, question mark, question mark. So it's almost like he's forgetting himself, and he's forgetting his name, and he's becoming something else. And so we sort of see that process through with Oswald. Do I keep saying Gregory? I feel like I keep saying Gregory, but I mean Oswald. I think we saw that process with Oswald, so we kind of know that this is supposed to be what happened to his dad as well. This is Oswald, not Gregory. I'm so sorry. I don't know why Gregory is on the mind right now, but I'm just thinking Gregory. How do you survive doing 3 streams? Don't know. I'm just a powerhouse. I am so burnt out, by the way. I'm always burnt out these days, but I'm on the YouTube grind recently, I think. I'm just really enjoying making YouTube videos and stuff. Okay, let's continue. He turns into scrap and forgets his own name. That's it. And isn't there like an image of there's an image of him as like a robot. So there you go. I can debunk Tom theory. Do you want me to ruin it for you? No, because we haven't gotten through the video yet. But at the end, if you want to talk about why you think it's incorrect, that's fine, as long as you do it respectfully. All right, let's go.
His dad. Eventually, Oswald does find him, frees him, and kills the yellow rabbit in the process. There are some changes here and there to make sure that it works as a game rather than a 40-page story, but overall, it's a really good experience. The time travel mechanics work great for in-game puzzles, and the pixel art style is
honestly best game in the series.
However, like any FNAF game, we all know why we're really here. The lore. And that's where things get a little bit messy. This game is full of references from all across the FNAF universe. Fazbear Fright stories, the games, the graphic novels, the FNAF movie. Oh, and then there's this.
Wow, whoever GGY is has the top
God.
score on every game. I mean, technically, if Gregory were a robot, he would live this entire time. What trolls you are.
So, yeah, as you can see, the lore of this game is a bit all over the place. It's hard to know if these are meant to be just Easter eggs or whether they're legitimate lore. And I'm sure we could all argue about this till the animatronic cows come home. But instead, I figured we'd do something a little different. Rather than focusing on solving the lore of this game specifically, I wanted to try zooming out a little. Matt mentioned in a previous theory that the original 6 games are about the Afton family, their lives, their mistakes, their deaths, their resurrections, all of that stuff. But since then,
I know what he's going to say. He's going to say the original games were about the Afton family. Now we're kind of in a new era of FNAF, right? And it's always been that way, sort of with like Help Wanted and then Security Breach maskers. I'd imagine that's what he says because I think that's what other people have been saying. I've seen that quite a lot. I'm sure that's not going to be the end of the
characters who, at some point or another, were impacted by the...
Sorry. There seems to be lag. Why, man? I just want to stream. That's so dumb. Okay, wait. Sorry, guys. Wow, that is even worse. All right, I think we're good now. No, we're not. We're not good. Ah! I hate it. Guys, let me know if I'm back. It seems we're good. I don't ever want to say we're good because as soon as I say I'm good, things go wrong. You guys say we're good. I'm not having any dropped frames, so I guess it's my internet. I don't know. Like it's really weird, but I'm alive. I'm alive for now. Let's go back a little bit, and I will continue. Apologies. This sort of thing always happens. It's so annoying. It's ridiculous. Okay.
Rather than focusing on solving the lore of this game specifically, I wanted to try zooming out a little. Matt mentioned in a previous theory that the original 6 games are about the Afton family, their lives, their mistakes, their deaths, their resurrections, all of that stuff. But since then, we've begun being introduced to characters who, at some point or another, were impacted by the Afton family and their actions. Cassie in Ruin, her father in Help Wanted 2.
Yeah, I said it in a video about William Afton is now we're actually focused on his legacy more than anything. But it also seems like we're seeing a lot of the side characters of previous FNAF games, but most importantly the masked bullies of the Bite of 87, the Big Bite. So I think that's a fair point, yeah.
This new era of FNAF is about the ripple effects caused by the Afton family, and I believe we're being shown exactly that in Into the Pit. And it all comes down to a single collectible, the Freddy mask. Yep, this one item is going to help us not only understand the themes Scott is presenting with modern FNAF, but also show us where it might be going in the future.
Okay.
How? Well, let's just pop in the second tape to find out.
Okay. Let's go, Lee. Yes, Amy. Slaying. What is this? Santi. He's my favorite character.
Embrace your legacy. The Legacy Collection featuring 4 new signature jackets.
Oh, it's a
freaking flattering graphic tees is available now at lumenofficial.com.
I didn't realize it was a
Welcome back from the break. Thanks for sticking with us.
That was very
creative,
though.
Deep into the big meta stuff, we should probably go over the basics of this Freddy mask. During the game, you can explore multiple rooms in Oswald's house. One of the rooms is Oswald's attic, but on a random night, there's a chance that this Freddy mask will fall down when you open the hatch. This stood out as a strange detail because 1, it's not mentioned in the original book, but 2, Oswald doesn't really know who Freddy is. If you collect the toy Freddy item, he calls Freddy this thing rather than...
It's lagging a bit. Is it? It is. Oh, for frick's sake. Why can't I just stream... Okay. whatever. I don't care. I don't care.
By his name. And then
I'm
if
just
you
gonna
collect
continue,
this
I'm sorry.
mask specifically, he asks, why would anyone want to look like this thing? Not only does he not know who Freddy is, but he has no idea why anyone would want to look like him. This cannot be his mask, meaning it would have to belong to someone else in the house. Given their prominence in the game, my first thought was that it must belong to his dad. But when I realized that, there was just one thought running through my head. Is Oswald's dad Freddy Bro, the bully wearing the Freddy mask during the bite of 83? I definitely wasn't the only person thinking this either. Plenty of others online were quick to make this connection, but why? Why would the immediate assumption be that if Oswald's dad has a Freddy mask, then he must be this random character from FNAF 4? Well, because this isn't the first time this has happened. In Ruin, Cassie was able to collect a Bonnie mask, and combining that with other details she gave us
and
about
Foxy,
her
of
dad,
course.
like the fact his favorite character was Bonnie, and that he collected Fazbear memorabilia from the 80s, it led us to believe that Cassie's dad was another one of these bullies, Bonnie Bro. However, a mask alone does not a Freddy Bro make. There would obviously need to be other connections, and so the first question I asked myself was, does the timeline match up? It sounds simple enough, but we're actually missing a number of crucial details. The game doesn't tell us how old Oswald's dad is. All we know is that he's old enough to have a 10-year-old son. On the other side of things, while we don't have the exact ages, it seems pretty widely accepted that Michael and his bully friends are at least tweens when we see them in 1983.
Yes.
So for Freddy Bro and Oswald's dad to be the same person, Into the Pit would need to take place far enough in the future from 1983 where he could grow up, have a kid, and have the kid turn 10 years old, while also not being so far into the future that he becomes too unreasonably old to look the way he does.
It works quite well, I think.
Which leads me to my second problem. The game is very explicit that Oswald is traveling back to 1985, but it's never stated what year he starts in. In fact, Megacat Studios has been so careful not to reveal the day, giving us the month and year. The one in Oswald's house during the present only shows the month.
I know,
But
it's
there
so
are
stupid.
details that slipped through the cracks, and I believe that they can help us figure out at least a rough range of dates for when this story takes place. During the second day, you have the opportunity to look around Oswald's school, and in the second classroom, you can find several things hanging on the wall, like numbers, a sun clock, and a world map that seems a little broken. Maybe that's why there's no bears in Security Breach.
Pangea 2.
Bears were known to attack
Oh.
pizza delivery trucks.
Probably a theory for another day, but just below that very confusing map is
Barely
the
habitable.
actually important detail, another calendar. Just like the one in our house, it tells us the month with no year, but there's one crucial difference. It has the days crossed out, with the final marked date on the calendar being August 16th. Now, as a Brit, I typically read my calendars as the first day being a Monday and the last day being a Sunday. That would make August 16th a Friday in this game. However, FNAF takes place in the US, and you guys use some weird
Sunday at the
calendars
beginning.
that start on a Sunday and
That's
end on a
ridiculous.
Saturday.
I'm
I
sorry,
have
guys.
no idea how this makes sense to you. It's called the weekend for a reason. Anyway, using this calendar system means that August 16th is a Thursday during the year the game takes place. There's only a few years after 1985 where August 16th has been on a Thursday. 1990, 2001, 2007, 2012, and 2018.
So it's
This
18.
immediately narrows down our search, but the range of dates still feels a little too large. We're currently spanning 3 whole decades. Plus, if the game took place sometime during those early dates, like 1990, it would be nearly impossible for Oswald's dad to have a 10-year-old son and be a teenage Freddy Bro in 1983.
Yeah.
So the search continues. My gut instinct was to look more closely at the technology being used. Techs come on be pretty easy to date. The piece of tech we have the most hands-on time with in this game is Oswald's dad's cell phone. Taking a look at it in your inventory, there's a comment from Oswald about how it's, quote, the saddest, most out-of-date model imaginable. And by today's standards, yeah, I definitely agree. So I did some research into older mobile phones, and after looking through multiple sites with every make and model of phone since the 1980s, I found this, the Nokia 6600, which is almost identical to the phone Oswald uses throughout the game. This phone was released in 2003, which means our most problematic timeline years are...
Sorry, you can keep saying that I'm lagging, but it's not gonna change anything because I've said like I'm not be able to fix it, unfortunately. I have so many dropped frames. I don't know how I can fix that. Does anybody have any idea? Unless I restart my router again, but I'm not gonna do that for a second time today. Like, I don't know. I don't know what I can do. This is quite interesting. In terms of the dates. Something that Tom doesn't mention in this theory is that one of the students in the school is literally called VTuber fan. Really? Oh yeah, that is right. I think they don't have like regular names, they have like who they are names. VTubers became popular post 20. Interesting. I wonder where he is going with this.
Of 1990 and 2001 are off the board. As for the other dates, I had to do a lot more digging than I anticipated. Scott and Megacat did a very good job keeping the world looking pretty ambiguous. I looked at washing machines, water fountains, blackboards, whiteboards, TVs, but all of them were either too generic to suggest a year, or the item is still being used in the modern day despite its age. Thankfully, my technology...
Well, appliances like that will be,
because during the game's final day, you get to go into the back of Jeff's pizza, and there you can find Jeff sitting down at his computer. Taking a look at the screen, I immediately noticed something. The grey taskbar and window design is identical to the design of Windows 95, but actually that isn't what I noticed. Despite coming out in 1995, people do still run Windows 95 today. No, what I noticed was the size of his monitors, specifically their aspect ratio. Aspect ratio basically refers to the ratio between the height and the width of an object.
So it's
for example, the video you're watching right now has an aspect ratio of 16:9, meaning for every 9 pixels of height, there are 16 pixels of width. Most standard TV shows and YouTube videos are made in this format, so naturally, most of our TVs and computer monitors are built to match that. But that wasn't always the case. Computer screens actually used to come in 2 different aspect ratios, 4:3 or 16:10. That was until 2008 when the modern 16:9 was introduced, and in 2010, they took over the market as the majority. So the question is, what size are Jeff's monitors? Of course, I whipped out the trusty pixel measurements, and I can confirm that Jeff's monitors are in fact modern 16:9 monitors, despite him still running Windows 95.
Well, you can quite clearly see that, right? I mean, it's the sort of thing where you're probably watching this on a 16:9 screen right now, unless you're on a weird like phone. Like I don't think this is 16:9 because it's actually a lot longer. But what I was gonna say is you can. What was I going to say? Yeah, it's clearly 16:9. I don't think that really tells us anything. And I don't even really think we can use that as evidence. I mean, sure, you can use it as evidence. It's in the games. But was that an intentional thing? Like a design choice? It's 50-50. I'm not sure. Bro is cooking in solitaire. I don't know if that's solitaire. I think it's supposed to be solitaire. Yeah, you have all of the cards down here that you can like stack on top of each other. You have the main deck up here, and then you have the different suits. I will say it does feel like random evidence, especially when we do have like washing machines and blackboards and whiteboards and other appliances and stuff like that we can draw from. But sure, I think this is fair too. It does look quite modern. Especially with the fact that there's 2 screens. I don't know how long you've been able to have split screens. It's probably like 2010 or something. Probably before that actually. But I don't know. You think the whiteboards are super important? I don't know. Aren't there like there's stuff on the whiteboards, isn't there not? I don't know. Let's continue.
Sure you're gonna be getting the most out of those monitors, Jeff? I'm sure LTT would have some thoughts, but hey, you do you. That knocks 2007 out of the running, leaving us with 2012 and 2018, which for our purposes is actually more than enough. The fact the game...
But also, sorry, in terms of like where the Stitch Wraith story happens and stuff, I swear it's... Well, it has to be after 2023. Because 2023 is when FNAF 6 happens, which is when Afton gets burnt again. And then The Man in Moon 1280 happens after 2023. And that's like for a few years, he's in Heracles Hospital. And then that is when Andrew finally gets separated from Afton and gets put into Fetch. And then later on, wait a second. You know what? I'm blabbering on. Well, actually, no, I'm not, because the Stitch Wraith does appear. So basically what I'm saying is the Stitch Wraith stories have to happen after 2023, and we see the Stitch Wraith in this game, so it kind of has to be past 2023. Why is 2023? In Five Nights at Freddy, in Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator, we know that has to take place in 2023 because of the HRY 223. That's the audio tape that Henry gives to us when we get the final ending. Or the, what is it? The Insanity ending, I think it is. So that's FNAF 6, which means that the Stitch Wraith has to happen after that. That's dumb. Okay. I thought 2023 wasn't confirmed. I would say we don't necessarily know for FNAF 3. However, FNAF 6, I'm pretty sure FNAF 6 has to be 2023. Why else would it be called HRY 223 is the question. And obviously, the thing of like 30 years after
Oswald's dad and Freddy Bro to be the same person. If he was a teenager in the 80s, by the 2010s, nearly 30 years have passed. So he'd definitely be old enough to have a kid of his own. However, even with that part of the timeline at least somewhat figured out, I realized I had a different problem.
So here's the thing. I'm sorry for the lagging again. Hopefully you're able to still hear me or whatever. But didn't you say you were going to make a short or something? Yeah, I'm thinking of making more shorts. Here's the thing. I think that's completely fine, and I think that the conclusion that he's come to is like my issue is how he got there. It sort of seems I think it was fine to just say that he could have been. I just like the whole monitor thing is just a bit of a weird thing to bring up, but I don't know.
Sure, Oswald's dad could be the right age if he was a teenager in 1983, but that kind of relies on us assuming he's Freddy Bro to begin with, which isn't proof in and of itself. I needed more. I didn't just need the year of the game, I needed something that proved Oswald's dad was in the 80s. I looked, found nothing, so I did the only thing I could. I went back. Who could have seen that coming? Now, I've read these books
considering doing that on the
countless
stream.
times, but each time I do, new details jump out to me. And with this new game fresh in my mind, I spotted this. In 85, I was just a couple years older than you. All I could think about was how many quarters I had to spend at the arcade. Jeff's Pete, it was some kind of arcade, wasn't it? Yeah, it was, but it closed. At this, originally a Freddy Fazbear's Pizza back in 1985. So for Scott to remind us of that, as well as tell us that Oswald's dad spent all of his time in arcades like it during 1985, it's not a massive leap to assume that the two are connected. So not only was Oswald's dad alive during 1985, but he spent a lot of time at Freddy's.
Oh,
as
absolutely.
well. But
that's what I
it
mentioned
gets
before.
Better, because even though Oswald's dad was playing coy about his age, a couple of years is definitely something we can work with. Fun fact, there have actually been studies on what people mean when they say a couple of years. Traditionally, the word couple
It's
just
two.
meant two, but
Yeah.
now it can basically mean anything from
Yeah.
2 to 8, although it tends to average out at around 3 to 4 years.
Yeah.
If that's the case, then with Oswald being 10 during the story,
believe a
Oswald's
few is
dad
3,
would have been
but-
roughly 13 to 14 during 1985, making him at least 40 for the earliest date we found, 2012. That is more than reasonable considering he has a 10-year-old son. But does that line up with the FNAF 4 bullies? Well, if Oswald's dad was 13 or 14 in 1985, that would mean that in 1983, 2 years earlier, he would have been 11 or 12. Now, we don't know the ages of Michael and his friends here, but we can make a pretty good educated guess. The average height of an 11 to 12-year-old boy is between 56 and 59 inches. And during the scene, we see them walk past a handful of dining tables, which usually measure in at around 30 inches tall. If you take a look, you'll see
This
that the
is
bullies
very
are just
convoluted
shy
for where
of
he's going with
double
this,
the
but
table's
okay.
height, putting their height smack dab in the middle of the 56 to 59 average. Did Did we just find the ages of the FNAF 4 bullies? Huh, that was not the intention of this episode. And, you know, it's FNAF, so I'm not going to hold on to it too tightly, but it's definitely interesting to think about. And for our purposes today, it does mean that Oswald's dad would have been the perfect age in 1983. Combining that with his frequenting of Freddy's locations and owning the same mask, he's looking like a pretty good candidate for the identity of the Freddy Bro. It's more than just the timeline or in quote, mechanical animal game and the book. And as we get more details, it turns out he's drawing characters like Freddy, Bonnie, and Chica. But this is before he's even gone to Freddy's. And as I've already mentioned, at that point, Oswald doesn't know who these characters are. What's even weirder is these drawings don't play any part in the story whatsoever. So why are we being shown this? Because the start of a story is where you establish who your character is. Their likes, dislikes, hopes, dreams, and their relationships. In this case, we're being shown that before this story about a Freddy Fazbear's even starts, this character, this family, has a connection Oswald may not fully understand, but one that his dad certainly does. But why does this matter? What does this fundamentally change for us and our understanding of this franchise?
That's a good question.
Well,
What does this change?
Once again, showing us that this modern era of FNAF is widening our view on the world and the characters we look at, focusing on the knock-on effects of the Afton family and how the part these other characters played all led to them changing their ways. Cassie's dad being Bonnie Bro in Ruin was the first instance of this. Cassie tells us that he had a technician's Faz wrench, hinting that after the bite of 83, he grew up and became a technician so that he could stop any malfunction like the one he witnessed from ever happening again. Oswald's dad being Freddy Bro does the same thing. We learn that Oswald's dad used to work at the local mill before it shut down. Again, in true Scott fashion, he kept what type of mill this was vague in the story. I always imagined it was just your typical steel or wood mill, but in the game, we actually get to visit this mill. Or more accurately, you get to visit the trash heap out.
In He Told Me Everything, there is a mention of a steel mill. So it's assumed that they're probably the same, because we know He Told Me Everything is... I'm so sorry I'm about to say this. He Told Me Everything is most likely canon because of its connection to Room for One More. I'm not going to talk about that right now, and it's not really important right now, but I think steel mill probably most likely, especially if we're talking about yeah, I'm just trying to think of like timeline implications for that, but it's fine. Crazy Lamau, I thought I knew where you might be going with this, but sorry, I'm not reading it right. I thought I knew where he might go with it. Yo, find more comparing pixels. Exactly. It could have been set up right from the beginning. Like, this could have taken 2 minutes to explain. I'm not hating. I'm just saying. I think Into the Pit, it doesn't belong to Oswald because he doesn't know about Freddy's. It probably doesn't belong to his mum because it does revolve around the father, because in the original book, we know that that's that sort of thing where I think 16 minutes just for the conclusion that Oswald's father is probably the Freddy bully, and that changes. How does that change the story? It just means we're getting more world building. I think that's. I think we've been scammed, boys. But I think we could have explained that in 2 minutes, to be honest. I think that's what I said right at the beginning of the video as well. I think I kind of said that theory. But either way, I like the way that he set this up, and he's found more evidence for it. I think circumstantial at best, but I think I'm not sure. I think he's right. I just think it took quite a while to get to that conclusion. Didn't they say steel mill in the book? We can test it. I think they said steel mill in He Told Me Everything, but he didn't say steel mill in Into the Pit. This is the wrong Kindle. Kindle.com I want. Kindle as an accounts, and I have the first 5 books in here. Also, someone tell me why my Into the Pit book has this cover. I don't know why, but there you go. Let's have a look. Okay, you guys are talking about parallels and stuff. Steel. Is this? Oh yeah, Snack Space. It was a boot, steel-toed work boot. work at the mill. So I think in Into the Pit they just say mill. And actually, I can test that if you want me to test it properly. But that's the only mention of mill. So they're saying the mill had closed. The mill had basically been the reason the town existed. $5 an hour less than he'd made at the mill. All of it is just saying mill rather than steel mill or another mill. Timber, since the mill closed down. Mill. Yeah. So all of it's saying mill. Let's go read.amazon.co.uk. And I think he told me everything. What book is that? That's the 7th book. Blackbird. Not Gumdrop Angel. The one before Gumdrop Angel. Do we have it? Cliffs. There we go. Okay. Steel mill. I think they do say in He Told Me Everything steel mill. Steel. Ooh, steel. Steel mill. There you go. My memory has served me correct. I have no idea how I remembered that, but there you go. So this is He Told Me Everything. Because we're talking about Chris, and Chris is the Fazgoo, the one who turns into Fazgoo. Walking through the neighborhood was depressing. The houses were small and identical little boxes which had originally been built for the workers in a steel mill that had been shut down many years before Chris was born. So it's not only a steel mill, but it had also been closed down. And so I think that's probably an indication, maybe as the one in Into the Pit, and therefore it's a steel mill. Why that matters? No idea, but that's what he's trying to figure out, right? Is what kind of mill it is. Let's have a look.
Outside the mill. Although this isn't any ordinary trash. I mean, some of it is, but next to the classic black bags, you can see a few recognizable Fazbear characters. The most obvious ones are Trash and the gang from FNAF 6. Because, of course, the characters made from literal trash are hiding out in a dumpster. But besides them, you can also find things like a toy Bonnie doll, a mask, a Freddy head, and a couple of animatronic hands and feet. And these things do belong to the mill as well, because Oswald says that they've been sitting there ever since the factory closed down. This mill isn't just your typical mill. They were making parts for Fazbear Entertainment. Oswald's dad worked at this factory, so it seems like he grew up and started working at the local factory that made Fazbear parts to make sure that they were properly inspected, tested, and approved before being sent out. That way, no kid would ever suffer the same fate as Michael's brother due to a faulty part. For years, Michael, the Foxy Bro, was the only one of the bullies to truly try to atone for the mistake he made. He wasn't able to help his brother, but he tried to put his sister back together. And when he learned the truth about his dad from her, he went on a mission to finish him as well. But for almost a decade, the other 3 bullies basically got away with it. They just disappeared into the back of people's minds, never to be seen or heard from again.
Yeah.
Now,
yeah, that's what I mean, Facetronic. Like Oswald. Surely Oswald would have seen stuff from the mill before. I don't know. That's quite compelling. Especially if Jeff's Pizza. That's actually a good point. Especially if Jeff's Pizza is the original pizzeria where the missing children's incident happened. That means that this town is the original town where the missing children's incident happened. This town has, I guess, the FNAF 1 location. Whether you believe that or not, I don't mind. But it has one of the pizzerias from early on, and so there probably would be a mill that would like that's completely fair to say. I think that there would be a factory nearby to make. I always thought the mill could have been almost Edwin's factory. Wouldn't that have been so freaking sick? What if that is actually a thing? Is there any reason why we wouldn't think that? That the mill in this story and in this game is almost the factory for the animatronics for Freddy's, and that was where Edwin worked, because he had like a factory workshop that was abandoned, and the mimic was left in there. So it also makes sense for it to be around the same location. I'm going to continue. I'm going to end this video and see.
Just like Michael, they too are trying to atone for what they did back in 1980.
I really like that, actually.
And this theory works regardless of whether you think Into the Pit and the books are 100% canon and Oswald's dad is literally Freddy Bro, or whether you believe he's just a parallel for a grown-up Freddy Bro. The theme is still the same. This era of FNAF is about the ripple effects of the Aftons and the atonement of the FNAF 4 bullies. Scott is trying to wrap up loose ends that were left dangling for years. He's giving us a little more insight into characters that up until now have basically been one-dimensional. Both Bonnie Bro and Freddy Bro were just bullies, mean kids that thought it would be funny to shove Mike's little brother into the mouth of an animatronic he was terrified of.
I like the idea that they're atoning for their accidents. It's like it's at this moment in time when the big bite happened that they realized they made a mistake and they need to now find a way to kind of regain, you know, yeah, to atone for the actions and for that. But I quite like that, because you're right. Jeremy absolutely was a technician. Oswald's dad would have been making some of the animatronics. Michael actually went and worked at the pizzerias and then got revenge on his father. I quite like that.
Shown that they didn't stay those one-note cruel bullies after that. That just like Michael, they were haunted by what they did and were doing whatever they could to make up for it. We see during the end of the game that Oswald's dad deeply cares about his son. He's no longer the awful bully. He's kind and loving, just wanting to provide for his family. And before the factory shut down, he was trying to stop the same horrifying incident happening again. Just like Bonnie Bro did as a technician and just like Foxy Bro did when he put an end to dear old dad. So theorists, when the next FNAF game does come out, one that isn't a prequel anyway, make sure you keep an eye out for a Chica mask.
That's what I was thinking.
Whoever it belongs to might have an important...
It's funny, I was going to make basically this exact same video and then I decided against it because I just didn't really have the time for it and because I didn't really have this sort of like story, like this arc and conclusion for it. But it is very interesting that we have 3 out of the 4. Maybe we're going to see Chica in Secret of the Mimic. As I was saying before, maybe Secret of the Mimic, we could see something with Chica's party world, and then that could be connected. Also the fact that, and this is going to sound like a stretch, but maybe it could be like a metaphoric like parallel of like Chica was the first. Maybe Chica was the first in the timeline. Like the Chica mask was the first in the timeline almost. So there's like that connection too. That's again very loose, but I don't know. I quite like that thematically.
Story to tell. But hey, that's...
Have we got a peachy deal for you? Theorist Legacy Collection has...
Okay, bro.
With shirts inspired by your favorite theories, including... We're talking Dead Peach,
That's
Dead
cool.
Peach. So much Dead Peach that we're putting you into a...
Dead Peach Overdrive.
Their Dead
What?
Peach is in another casket. Your Dead Peach is limited edition. What
Your
time
princess
is
is
it?
in another casket.
What's your favorite theory?
Dead Peach.
Duh! There are other shirts too, but you can't get more Dead Peach than this. But hey, that's just a...
Dead Peach.
Okay, the Dead Peach merch is genuinely actually cool. Let's have a look. That's actually sick. Is it not? I quite like that. Oh, Tom. Tom, you're looking dapper. Tom's looking dapper. Who'd have thought? Can I open? Oh my gosh. I don't know if I want to... Okay. Why can't I open the first picture? Okay, Tom, you are looking dapper as hell. Oh, look at you, Amy. Oh my gosh. I quite like that. This merch. Five Nights at Freddy's tee. Collection Legacy. Oh my gosh, that's so cool. Oh, Ash. Yo, what is that? Blue raspberry doesn't exist? Oh, that's a food theory. I've never seen that one. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's sick. I kind of want the Dead Peach now, even though I don't make Mario theories, I make FNAF content, but it's actually sick. It's actually really cool. Okay. So, theory. So I've kind of said my thoughts. I think I've just been kind of saying my thoughts throughout this, but I think it's a good theory. I think most of the theory happened in the last 2 minutes, to be honest, because I don't really think it's a theory that Oswald's dad is the Freddy bully. I think that's just kind of proven with this game, right? So there you go, Matric Pathu. Want me to debunk it now? You can say what you want. Just be careful with how you word things, because obviously speaking in text messages, you can't really get the right tone across. So when you say like, want me to debunk it, it kind of sounds like smartassy. So just be careful with how you word things. Just be aware of that, because you don't want people starting fights with you. Let's have a look at some of the comments. I just want to point out that when Oswald was asking his dad about the former pizzeria, the text states he sounds strange, nervous even. Probably doesn't like to think about it because it's something he feels guilt over if he was the Freddy bro. That's interesting. I always interpreted that line as... I always interpreted that more as because he knows about the missing kids and he knows like the truth of Freddy's. Don't worry, Verum. I know you. I know you probably weren't. It just don't worry. Just try to word things in a way that don't. Yeah. I like the idea of Oswald's dad being the Freddy bully, seeing as Cassie's dad might be the Bonnie bully, basically adding to the story of the rest of the bullies. Maybe a future game will be with the Chica bully. I mean, absolutely. I think that's truth at this point. It has to be. Game theory hates and loves FNAF as it hates and loves itself. It cannot be rid of it. True. I love the Peaches dead shirt. It reminds me back when MatPat made the Rosalina theory. What? What is... Jesus Christ. Okay, never mind. So what's the... What are you guys saying? How do you like it? I'm going to do a poll. Why not? How do you rate this theory? 5 star, 4, 3, 2. Okay, I can only do... Okay, whatever. 5 star, 4... Oh my gosh. Okay, well, whatever. You can't rate it 1 star because... Yeah. Because that would be a not good. 2 stars? Jesus. Okay. People are rating it 4 star. I think that's pretty good. Like above average. In terms of how I would rate it, I don't know. I would probably rate it like a 3.5. I think I would rate it a 3, to be honest. I think it's nothing mind-blowing. It puts pieces together and it makes a comprehensive and cohesive narrative. And I like it because it, as he said, like, it means that the bullies are actually guilty of what they did and they're atoning for that. So I quite like that. But either way, it's very interesting that we're seeing this sort of trend of masked bullies like coming back. It's really interesting. Just as I said, 3.5 stars. It seems like you guys completely agree with me because we have this normal distribution curve, and it seems to be centered around 3.5. There's this recurring theme of FNAF 4 bullies being fathers. Could Michael be a father somewhat? Not saying he is, but it's just a thought. Let's also go to point out, I wouldn't really say so. I don't think there's any evidence that he's a father, but unless... Here's a thought. I don't know if it's a good thought, but here's a thought. You know, yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say, Titan. What if Vanessa is Michael's daughter? Which would make sense with the FNAF AR emails where it said Vanessa A. So it's technically Vanessa Afton. So I like it. I like that. I don't know why. Does that make sense? Vanessa is Michael's daughter. That could make sense. Because one reason we've been... So, the Mimic 1 program, it took on Gregory probably because it looks like the bite victim. And that's why it has so many parallels to the bite victim. And the reason it's so... it likes being the bite victim, essentially, is because it's Afton's son. What if it also chose Vanessa because Vanessa is actually an Afton, actually has the blood of the Aftons? That's interesting. I might have to bring this theory up in a video. Like, it might be a short video, but I think that could be quite good. Vanessa Afton. After all, Vanessa in the movie is an Afton as well. Let's not forget about that. So what? Michael would be... I think that works. Because it has an A in it doesn't mean it's Afton. Sure. But it doesn't... I mean, sure, okay, it doesn't tell us anything, but it's extra evidence that it could be Afton. Sorry, I'm going to read what you were saying. In Into the Pit, a kid in the school for the present called Gamer Kid tells us that he loves a new game that released called WrestleQuest. If you look at the date it released, you will notice it came out August 16th, 2023. Does he actually say that? That's interesting. But here's the thing, it doesn't debunk it. And that's why you need to be careful with wording. Because you can... The best way you can say what you're wanting to say is you could say, I have opinions on this theory. If you would like to listen, because I don't fully agree because of one detail in the games that I think is quite important to notice. I think just saying it debunks it is kind of jumping conclusions. I don't think this debunks the theory because the theory isn't based around the dates. I know that they went through the dates and stuff, but that was all kind of like a side quest in a way. I don't even really know why they went through the dates. I guess it's just to prove the age of the father and that he can be the Freddy bully. But I think as long as it's like in the next like 50 years after the buy of 83, like I don't really care when the date is. But yeah, it means that Oswald's dad would be 60, 70, which is too old to have a kid. Because if you're saying, hang on, he loves a new game that released called WrestleQuest, and it came out August 16th, 2023. Oh, and the calendar said August 16th. That's a good point. August 16th, yeah. Okay, that's cool. And was August 16th, 2023 a Thursday? That's a good thought. That's a good thought. August 20... What was it? August 16th, 2023. 33rd Wednesday. I don't know. Oh, but August 16th is crossed off, isn't it? So it'd be August 17th, which is a Thursday. Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I'll do more theorizing about that later. But no, I agree. I think it's probably 2023 then, or like 2024 or something. But yeah, either way, it's post that. But if you think about 2023 compared to 1983, that's only 40 years. So if he was 12 in 1983, he would be 52 in... Like, I don't think it's a problem of whether, like, he can have kids. And he would have had a kid 10 years before anyway. So he would have been 42. I don't think it's a stretch. I don't think that really debunks anything. But I like the theory. I think it works. I just think it's like a 3 theory. I don't think it's anything mind-blowing, if you know what I mean. Okay, I think that's it for now then. I think that's very interesting. Stuff to think about for sure. I don't know. I know you guys said may or may not be an Afton, but I think it could be quite compelling if I think about it a little bit more, and I might come back to you at I might come back to you with that. Look at the calendar. Okay, I don't think this is stuff that we really need to look at. But there you go. Calendar's clearly old. That. I don't know how you can tell if it's old or not. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This would be a Thursday. 5 plus 7 is 12. Plus 4 is 16. So this is the 16th day of August. August 16th, Thursday. So it probably isn't 2023 unless this is a Saturday. Why would that be a Saturday on that? I guess it could be Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. That could work. But why? But do calendars exist where it's Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday? I don't know. All right, I think I'm going to end here. This was a great discussion, guys. Thank you so much for joining. Let's have a look at the poll results. It looks like most people are saying 4-star. So that's pretty positive. I don't think it's too bad of a theory. I just think it wasn't anything mind-blowing. There you go. Guys, if you enjoyed the stream, then make sure that you slap a like on the video. And of course, oh my gosh, I'm still dropping frames. I can't believe it. I'm so sorry. Make sure